The time is actually 1:36, and he'll be chatting to me like now. You're on 98.9 Northwest FM. You can live stream all of our programs here on www.northwestfm.org. And I do have Jag Dhaliwal, the Executive Director, Service Development and Reforms from Northwestern Melbourne Primary Health and Network. And good afternoon, Jag. How are you?
Hi, Vilma. Good, thank you. How are you going?
Oh, not too bad. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Always a pleasure to speak to you, and you've been coming on the show for a little while now, and it's always greatly appreciated. Well, it's come to that time again, and what feels different from lockdown 1 to lockdown 6, Jag?
Lockdown 6. Well, I don't think this time last year any of us would have anticipated we'd be talking about lockdown 6, did we? But look, I think what feels different. I think people I've been speaking to, lockdown 1 certainly had a sense of adventure about it. It was something quite novel and something quite different. But I must say, I must share with you, even yesterday when I heard of lockdown 6. It doesn't feel so exciting anymore. In fact, I think most people are probably feeling quite tired and quite fatigued of lockdown. It's certainly been quite a roller coaster. But after so Vilma, though, I mean, just talking to friends, family, and just people out and about when we can get to the shops, it's an amazing resilience that Victorians have shown. It's amazing just the commitment people are making to try and do the right thing and, be considerate of each other as a community and, don't really generate that spirit of we are in this together. We can get through, we can do this, we can do this.
Well, that's exactly right. And at the end of the day, Jag, no one has a crystal ball, and we really have to give it our best shot to really make the most of what is happening. And it's not just us, it's all around the world. This is something that's, I'm sure a lot of people have heard the word pandemic, but I think the last time that we were in a pandemic of such a nature was probably about 100 years ago. So now we're in a very technical type of a world and pandemic, and but there are a lot of people out there, and a lot of people are willing to help. And this is where we're going to talk about a great service too, which is CAREinMIND, but we'll talk about that shortly. But tell us, what can I do, or what can we do to look after yourself and your loved ones during this time? And I'm also a little bit tired of hearing how I'm not sleeping and exercising enough. And funny enough, I just had an exercise physiologist on just a minute ago, the lovely Hayley. So what else can I do during these trying times?
Yeah, look, that's a great question, Vilma. And I think probably, as we start on day 1 or, into the second day of lockdown 6, I think probably really important to just be kind to ourselves. And you know what? Just recognise it is hard. I think that's probably the most important thing. Is just recognise that it's okay to not feel great all of the time. But some of those things that we do get reminded of, whilst it can be a little bit annoying sometimes, just messages around eat well, sleep well, they do matter. They do make a difference. I think when we're going through this sort of uncertainties we are now, just keeping that mindfulness of how am I feeling, what am I thinking, allowing yourself the time to acknowledge when you're not feeling great, but not to dwell in that too much, to feel that emotion, acknowledge it, call it out, and then move on to something else. So that's where I think the changing the vibe by maybe getting out for that walk that we're allowed to do, or maybe I know certainly for me, the trips to supermarkets almost become enjoyable in a way that it never was before. So I think just keeping those things in mind, but trying to establish some sort of structure works for some people. But we are all different. So I think it's also about taking the time to realise what works best for you and allow yourself that. Well, I think the other thing that we've done at home is, we sat down as a family and had a conversation about, how do we signal to each other when one of us is in a different emotional state? How do we set some boundaries up for each other and respect those too? Especially if we're going to be, caught up in the house together for the next 7 days. So that's a really important conversation to have as you live with others also, how you might give each other that space within the confines of the house. So those are some things to think about. But I think really important to, different things will work for each one of us. So, take the time to work through and think through what that looks like and put that plan in place. But also be kind to yourself. Don't worry if you're feeling bad about the situation. Acknowledge that, but just try not to dwell on it.
Absolutely.
Acknowledge it and move on and think about something else. Move on to do something different. Change the vibe.
Absolutely. So how do you deal with conflict, and what do you do when friends or family or neighbours or colleagues have a different view on the vocation itself?
Yeah, look, I think that's a really great question as well. I mean, when we're all...
Oh, sorry, I should say, well, not on the vocation, but also, apart from the vocation, what they're doing, but also when people start talking about the vaccinations. I mean, everyone has a different view. Your colleagues might have a different view, and family might, or neighbours. So how do you sort of not get yourself into a lather when you're talking about such a very sensitive issue?
Yeah, look, and certainly vaccination and lockdowns are obviously very hot issues at the moment. So I think, best always to try and avoid conflict if you can. If you know that you're going to have drastically different views on a subject, then maybe it's better not to go there and try and talk to somebody else in the first place. But also, if the conversation is drifting there or, it's starting to get a little bit hot, it's okay to walk away. Change the subject.
Exactly.
Better not to buy into that conflict. Sometimes we can be having a conversation and we can feel our emotion rising up from our belly and we can feel ourselves getting a little bit agitated.
Yes.
Just to acknowledge that and
just, move on.
Call it out.
Also, too, I was going to ask you, if one is feeling worried about the vaccination or the vaccine, what can you do if you're starting to get a bit anxious, thinking, oh God, I haven't had it. All these outbreaks are coming on with what's happening around us. I haven't got it. I'm afraid. I think, something could happen to me. So how do you kind of overcome or try to relieve that stress and pressure?
Yeah, look, I've certainly heard from friends and neighbours that they're often feeling quite confused about the vaccine. I think it's probably fair to say there's been so many different messages out about vaccines and the situation we're in. So it can be quite confusing. So what I've been advising people is to be careful about where you get your information from. So always best to use the government channels. The Department of Health website, for example, has got up-to-date information. Social media is a little bit tricky because there is some good information on social media, but there's also a lot of misleading or otherwise problematic information. But if you're not sure, always best to speak to a health professional. Your GPs are really well placed to give good advice regarding the vaccine. And we've got we've had a lot of conversation about vaccine and the rollout of vaccine, and there's been a lot of concerns. So if you are eligible for the vaccine, we'd encourage you to go and have that as soon as you can. I think that's our key out of these lockdowns. The more people that can get vaccinated, the quicker that we can get vaccinated, the quicker our return to the new normals and not needing to lock down when new cases occur. But, GPs, the vaccination clinics, they're there with information and advice to help guide you through that. So I think that's the place to start.
Absolutely. Now, some people have shared they sometimes feel really frustrated and angry during the COVID. So what can we particularly do when we are feeling this way inclined and feeling like this?
Yeah, my kids were frustrated last night when when they realised that they couldn't go to footy training and
it's terrible.
They didn't get a chance to say goodbye to their friends who they're not going to see for another week. It can be hard. So look, again, I think we all feel that frustration differently. But look, what I was saying to my children last night was, find an outlet for it. Don't sit with that frustration and let it eat away at you and make you angry. Maybe think about making a list of, what it is that you can control and influence and those things that you can't. And focus on what you can do rather than be caught up in the whole complexity of the whole thing, and really get the things that you actually ultimately can't influence. We all recognise that we're going to be impacted by now because as a community we're doing the right thing, we're looking after each other. We all recognise that being at home now means that there's less chance of the spread of COVID, which is going to reduce the risk of people getting sick and ending up in hospital.
That's right.
Which is one thing we've done really well in Australia. Something we should be really proud of is that we have all done the right thing. People have isolated, which has ultimately saved lives. And I think that's a really important thing for us to remember when we're not feeling a little bit frustrated by the whole situation.
Yes, and I think that is so important. So my last question to you is, Jag, I just wanted to ask you, who can you talk to if you need support, or if someone that I know, or needs support with their mental health or well-being? Well, please, what do we do in this situation?
Yeah. Look, there is support available. There's free support available that can be accessed on the telephone. So our CAREinMIND Wellbeing Support Service, trained counsellors are available 24/7. It's a free service. And the number, I'll just give the number out, is 1300 096 269. You don't need a referral. Anybody can ring themselves. And if you are feeling a little bit frustrated even, and you're not sure how to process that, it's a really good service that's staffed by trained counsellors and can help us all through any mental health distress or challenge that we're feeling right now. So I'd start there with 1300 096 269.
And I shall, absolutely, and I shall repeat that too. It's CAREinMIND Wellbeing Support Service 24/7, and you can call 1300 096 269. And there's also HeadtoHelp on 1800 595 212. They are Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. right up until 5 p.m. And you can have a chat to them and connect with the right person. And also Crisis Line includes Lifeline on 131114, and Suicide Line is 1300 651 251. Is there anything else you'd like to contribute to this afternoon, Jag, at all?
Yeah, Vilma, thank you. I'd just also like to just acknowledge that we do sadly see an increase in family violence during periods of lockdown too. And I just want to let people know just another number, if I may.
Yes, please.
Number for 1-800-RESPECT, 1-800-737-732.
Absolutely.
The 24-hour number. So anyone who's experiencing domestic violence, family violence, needs support, please ring that number 24/7. They are there to help you.
Yes, and I'll repeat that again. And it's a 24-hour service. It's called Respect on 1-800-737-732. Well, thank you very much, Jag, for your time this afternoon. Always a wealth of knowledge. I know that we'll be chatting to you again during the course of the program. Please stay safe, and your wealth of knowledge and understanding in this matter is always greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Vilma, and look, thanks to all of your listeners, and please, let's hang in there and look after each other. Thank you.
That's right, and we do need to reach out as best as we can. Thank you, Jag.